I'm trading George Pickens. If you're having problems right now and you're speaking about your organization and your team and your offense right now, nobody in the offense next year is going to trust you. Nobody's going to trust that you're going to go out there and play 110%. And if you do, you're only doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for the team. I think him coming out and doing and saying what he said only tells me he wants out. And there are quite a few teams that are going to be looking for a number one wide receiver. And George Pickens on many other teams that have a number one could be an unbelievable number two, aka the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are looking for somebody right now that they don't have to pay that much going into the offseason. He's on his final year of his rookie contract. Why not make a trade? I think there are quite a few guys that you can trade for, a.k.a. Micah Parsons, who already set out and said that he wants, if he goes anywhere, he wants to go to Pittsburgh. Maybe you get George Pickens and a bunch of other guys for, Micah Parsons, send him over there to Pittsburgh and say sayonara to him. Honestly, the Pickens situation tells me one thing. Maybe Mike Tomlin has lost this team. Maybe Mike Tomlin has lost this locker room. Maybe it's just time for Mike Tomlin to leave. He's been there. He signed a 3-year extension in the offseason. He's been there a long time. He's been successful. Maybe it's time for a new transition. I don't know. And Mike Tomlin might be a guy that could be heading to the Cowboys in the future. Maybe this year if he becomes available in a trade. I don't know. But I do know this. George Pickens doesn't look happy. He doesn't look like he's wanted, and he has already come out and said many times this year that without him, this offense is not what it should or could be, which tells me the team doesn't trust him, and it tells me he don't trust the team, which tells me sayonara, Georgie, and that's where he's going to go as Georgie. It's nice down here. Balloons and all these wonderful things. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he might not be it, but he might be on his way out. Do you notice that this is only happening to offensive players of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Mm-hmm. Le'Veon Bell had problems. Antonio Brown had problems. Every single one of these wide receivers have problems. And who was the coach of all these players? Mike Tomlin. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's definitely some kind of assault here, and I think a lot of the questions and the pointing should be at Mike Tomlin.
As far as the Steelers go, they haven't had a real quarterback since Roethlisberger, and he wasn't even good his last 3 or 4 years. No. So no wonder the receivers are unhappy because they can't get the ball. As far as Pickens, any team that's worth anything should stay away from him. He's a diva. He's a problem. He drops the ball more than he catches it. Against the Bengals, he had 7 targets, 6 drops. And that was before the playoffs, so they didn't have to play the Ravens. He does more whining than he does production, and that's a lot of those guys. I just think part of it's quarterback, part of it's I wouldn't have Pickens on my team unless you had a Harbaugh or somebody that's going to just tell him, "Hey, get off the field if you're not gonna shut up," because if he goes to a locker room that's weak like the Eagles or something like that, they're going to blow up and it's going to be all turmoil and chaos.
There's a rule, an unwritten rule, that if Tomlin gave up on a receiver, that means it's over for that receiver. There's no way that if he can't handle it anymore, then nobody can handle it. Because Tomlin somehow can handle these personalities, these athletes. He always gets the most diva of the diva receivers. I mean, if you go back to Plaxico and Santonio Holmes, going forwards all the way through Martavis Bryant, if you guys remember him, to AB, obviously, to, and the only reason that Brown was able to keep it together is because he went to Tom Brady. But it was the second time he went to Tom Brady, because if you remember, he went to Tom Brady once in the Patriots, he roomed with him, started talking smack and left, and then eventually went back to him in Tampa. So the moral of the story is, Juju's another one, if they're being given up on, it's over. Don't take them. Just don't take those guys. It's very, very, very simple. But I would take Pickens if I was the Steelers going forwards. If he's very productive, he has a lot of talent, and if he can keep it together, I think he's one of those guys that they asked him a question and he didn't know how to filter himself because it was just the end of a playoff game. Because he just they're like, "Are you optimistic about the future?" He's like, "Nah." He just said it like that. But I don't know if he's like realized what he was saying at the time. It seemed like he wasn't being like that the rest of the conversation. So maybe he just, I don't know, answered the question badly. I don't want to blow it up because I really like the talent, but as you know, he comes with a reputation, and he was a cheap shot artist. I mean, he did the elbow drop, the Macho Man elbow drop on the Giants. I showed that clip a little earlier ago. He's doing like cross body blocks. He must be a WWE fan. That's for sure. He's throwing all sorts of old school finishing moves, Errol. I mean, he might pull out the you were bringing up the It Clown. What did Doink do? What was Doink's finishing move? Sleeper?
I just love the song that he came out to, Doink the Clown. You know, I used to watch WWF at the time when that was actually fun to watch. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I mean, I loved when he came out with the scissors and he would cut people's hair off. I mean, the story is that he was Hulk Hogan's brother or something, like a stepbrother or some crazy number. I don't remember, but that was when wrestling was actually good. But you're right, Doink the Clown was definitely stuff. I remember who was the one with the parrot. What was his name? Coco Beware. Remember that?
Coco Beware. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Coco Beware. Remember him with the parrot, and he would talk to the parrots. And yeah. I wonder what I wonder what he's going to be talking to. I know George Pickens is not going to be talking to Mike Tomlin at the end of this at next season because he's not going to be there. That's for sure.